Welcome back, everybody, to the live streams for OmniSci. Today, we're actually going to be kicking off something new. We're going to be doing Foundational Fridays every Friday, and today is the first edition of Foundational Fridays. We're going to be deploying, showing everybody how to deploy OmniSci from AWS today and load up a couple data sets. We're really starting at the absolute beginning. I'm going to bring in Danny here. What's going on, Danny? I should probably jump off of this. We don't need this anymore.
Not much, not much. I'm doing well. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to kind of jump. We're going to run through essentially the whole workflow for deploying OmniSci in the cloud. And then we're gonna go ahead and load up some data, make a dashboard, have a good time. We're hanging out. It's Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. All right, so let's go ahead and start from the top. We're going to be going through OmniSci.com, and we're going to go and grab OmniSci free. Now, if you're an enterprise user, I would work with your account team on getting a license key. We're just going to run through the get OmniSci free workflow, just so we can grab a quick license, stand OmniSci up, and because we're essentially going to be using one of the AWS AMIs, and those are just the Amazon machine images. And they have a bring your own license version of the OmniSci image. That's what we're going to be using today. So, what you would first do if you're like a brand new user and you want to get started with OmniSci, you come into OmniSci.com and you're going to get OmniSci free. All right. Then from here you have a couple different options. So you can either grab the desktop version, which is going to right now is just for Mac computers. So if you're running on Mac OS, then you would you can grab the free preview for desktop. If you want to run essentially the full featured version of OmniSci, you're going to go ahead and grab the server version, and you're going to want to have your own machine that you're going to deploy onto. So whether you have a GPU enabled workstation, or you have AWS or Azure or Google Cloud Platform, for instance. Perhaps you have one of those at your disposal, or maybe you even have a bare metal server that you want to deploy OmniSci onto. So what you're going to do and create a dummy account for this is you're essentially going to come in and you're going to put in your email here. You're going to go through this reCAPTCHA and agree. Now I already did this, so it's but I'll show you what happens afterwards. Once you press I agree and you go through the I'm not a robot process, you get to this screen. So it's essentially like, thank you, we're going to send you an email, and this is where you're going to have the actual license is going to be sent to you. So inside of your email, you'll see this activation link email. And it's basically, click here, this is what you do next, let's go from here. So, and you have basically every option imaginable, like we talked about, to go ahead and deploy. Today we're going to be taking a pretty frictionless approach to that. So the thing we're going to do, once you click here, you actually get sent this other email right here, which has your license key in it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to come to AWS, and this is the AWS console. This is the EC2 console, and we're going to go ahead and launch a new instance. So we're going to come up here. We're going to launch a new instance. We're going to go to the AWS Marketplace along the left-hand side here, and we're just going to type in OmniSci. All right, we'll search for all of the available listings that are on the AWS Marketplace, and this first listing is the OmniSci Bring Your Own License Free and Enterprise. So that's why I was saying that this process is the exact same whether you went and signed up for OmniSci Free on the OmniSci website, or if you were deploying your enterprise license that you worked with your OmniSci account team and were provided the license, or through customer success here at OmniSci. So we come in and we select this option, and then it comes in and shows you essentially what is this item that you just selected, and what are the pricing options based on the instance type. So if you don't have a lot of experience with AWS, so and Danny, I'm looking at you. So if you don't have a lot of experience with AWS, basically on AWS you have an option to deploy any number of different machines. So and they're of all different types and varieties. And what because OmniSci is requires, at least for the full featured version of OmniSci, requires to have NVIDIA GPUs installed on that machine. There are a few specific AWS instance types that are dedicated to offering a GPU enabled machine, and one of those is this G4DN instances, the 4x large and the 12x large. These P2 and P3 instances are great. You can use those just fine, and they come in different shapes and sizes, and you get the the price listing. But we're going to use this G4DN for today, and it has some T4 GPUs in there, and so you could see that's basically the default instance when you come in here. And so this is the currently selected. You could see that's the G4 DN 4XL instance. And we're going to use all the other defaults, because when we use the Amazon machine image, it opens up all the requisite ports. It sets up all of the users. It deploys the entire OmniSci system. Lays it all down via Docker onto the machine. So if we go ahead and launch this, it pairs with your key pair. I'm not going to walk through the key pair component, mostly because if we were to set that up on stream, there's some pretty sensitive information in there. So we'll leave that as is for right now. All right, so we've deployed our instance. We can come back to our console, and this is what we just stood up. We'll just call this live stream for right now. So this machine is standing up as we speak, and you can see that this is going to be the public IP address of this machine, and this is what we're going to grab. So basically, like I said, when you lay down the OmniSci AMI, then it opens up all the requisite ports. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this, and it's going to take a second because it's spinning up in the background right now. So if we come over to over here, and we actually navigate to 6273. This is the port that you're going to hit OmniSci's front end, and so this is where we're going to build dashboards. We're going to grab some data. Input it into the system. This is also where you could see all of your tables, so on and so forth. So right now, it can't be reached. It's still spinning up in the background. So I laid one of these down earlier, and so this is what it looks like once when OmniSci comes up for you. So right now, this is what it looks like. It's spinning up in the background. Docker's getting set up. So when it's ready. This is what it is, 6273. You can see I have my IP address, and then it asks me for my license key. So this is when we were signing up on OmniSci.com, and we got that license key, or you've worked with your enterprise account team, and you got your license key. So let's go ahead and grab that real quick. I believe I had that right here. I'm going to copy that, and we're just going to paste that right here and apply. All right, so now we've activated this instance. So now we're activated. Now what we need to do next is, by default, when you lay down OmniSci with the AMI, your password is going to be the instance ID from Amazon. So if we go back to our console and we grab our instance ID right here, we copy that. That's going to be our password right here. I think I actually copied the blank space while I was there. So let me go back. Let me go back and grab that again.
All the time. It happens all the time.
Go Go back. Oh, it's giving me that again. Maybe it's hyper interactive. That's the
Is
other.
the username supposed to be admin?
Mm-hmm. That's not it either. Maybe I need it without the I. This is why it's a live stream, people.
We're all learning. We're all learning today.
That's not it either. Oh, you know why, everybody? I'm looking at the wrong instance. This was the one from earlier, like I said. Maybe I should just pay attention and use the proper instance. All right, here we go. There we go. All right. All right. So that's you take your instance ID. That's your default password. You can go in and you could change your password. You could set up like LDAP, for instance. You could set up sort of your SSO, whatever that is, to have that hooked up to your Active Directory. So, all right. So immediately you see a couple different dashboards that are here when we first log in, and because there's immediately some data that's loaded with the process, and these are all sort of base tables, mostly to ensure that everything is working properly. This way you can come in and make sure that all of the charts are rendered, and like, so we can come in here and we could take a look at this New York City taxis dashboard that was in here. And so the very first time, and this is just the very first time, or for instance, if you are, you're maybe doing an upgrade or refiring your instance, you've restarted your server, or you've done some maintenance and you're bringing everything back online. So at that point, we're loading all of that data into memory. So initially, there's going to be a little bit of some time that you're gonna wait for that to come up. But once everything's loaded, we're good to go. You're golden, and then everything's gonna start working. So let me actually, while that loads up, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this other instance down that we started. Go ahead. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and terminate this one. All right. So let's come back over. And we'll let that load. So while that's loading, Danny, do you have any questions from anything we've done this far?
Yeah, I had a question. It was like not really anything too interesting, but
yeah.
I noticed that earlier when you were loading stuff on AWS, there was something about like was it the price per hour? It was like something about the pricing per hour.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, how exactly does that work, and when exactly does that start taking off?
Yeah, so that's while the machine is running. So you can start and stop the machines. So any kind of instance that you spin up on EC2, you have the ability to start and stop it.
So as long as that instance is running on AWS, then it's going. Like you don't actually have to physically be on like any dashboard inside of a nurse.
No, yeah. So that's like think about your computer running in a data center, and OmniSci is deployed on it, and you're accessing it remotely. That's all it is. So like,
I see.
This is a computer. I believe we used the Ohio region. So there's a data center in Ohio somewhere that this is running on. This always takes quite a few minutes. So yeah, so that price per hour is essentially the amount that it costs to run that instance per hour. Now we also have, and that doesn't include the licensing cost if you like had purchased enterprise. Mm-hmm. Now we do have an hourly on AWS where you can actually subscribe to OmniSci and get like the OmniSci technology and get the license as well and pay for it hourly. So whenever the machine is running. So if you're doing work during the day, you got your machine running, that's when the clock is running, and then as soon as when you turn your machine off, then that stops, and you're not incurring any charges during that time.
Got it. So probably want to turn that off when you're not using it.
Yeah, well, and we we see that like all the time, like especially when people are trying to figure out how much something is going to cost them, doing some budgeting, things like that. Yeah, you may need to do some calculations. So. All right, so now OmniSci is up and running. This is like like I was saying, this is one of the base dashboards that comes with OmniSci. So if you want to make sure everything's working, all data is being loaded properly, and so here we go. We have just about 13 million taxi observations throughout the New York City area. So we can kind of explore some of these. They're actually being colored currently based on the borough in which the observation occurred. So if we come down to Lower Manhattan, for instance, you can kind of see the density of all of those observations. This one's got a couple other charts, got a bar chart, histogram, heat map, and some time enabled data as well here down in the right hand corner. Maybe we want to look at everybody that paid with cash during that time period, and the longest trips, for instance.
The dashboard is so applicable to me right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because you're back in New York City now.
Yeah, it's so relevant. As a matter of fact, you're zoomed in on exactly where I am right now. So
yeah. We don't have to give anything away, but yeah, Danny's somewhere in this area.
Somewhere over here.
somewhere over here right now. Okay, so this is pretty cool. All right, so now that we have all this set up, we've stood up OmniSci, we've deployed OmniSci. It's always a good idea to to load up some data of your own and begin to experience it for yourself. So if we come to the data manager, we're going to do the simplest way to get data into OmniSci. There are a number of ways, so and not every single way is made for all types of data. You got much larger data, you're probably going to want to use one of the other utilities, or use the maybe if it's in CSV format, then you're definitely going to want to use like either copy from, or if you have like some Parquet files, like you may want to use another methodology. But for today, this is Foundation Friday number 1, so we're going to keep it simple. So here in the data manager, we can import some data, and then we're going to go to import data from file. And I have right here, we actually did a webinar this morning, and the webinar was based on some of the work we've been doing around wildfire impacts and risk in the American West, and specifically in the state of California. And one of the things that we were looking at in that webinar was the state of California's electrical transmission lines, and some of the spatial relationships between those electrical transmission lines and historical fire perimeters, and some of the vegetation, so on and so forth. So we're going to actually take the electrical transmission lines, and we're going to bring those into OmniSci. So we're just going to take this is a zipped shape file. And for anybody that's unfamiliar, a shapefile is a common open standard for storing geospatial information. So in this case, we have all of the electrical transmission lines themselves. So all geospatial data has some type of geometry associated with it. And in this case, they're just the lines. So you could just think about that. Let's go back to 10th grade geometry class. So I'm just going to kind of change some of these columns. I'm just going to make this ID. Actually, I think we have another unique identifier in here, if I'm not mistaken. For the sake of this conversation, we'll do a dictionary encoded string there. One of these other days that we do our foundations, we can actually talk about some of the data types themselves. But today we'll leave it here. So we have a few different things. We have the name of the actual electrical line in here. The owner, which is sort of interesting. So who's the actual, is it PG&E? Is it some other provider that's actually the owning that particular line, and who's responsible for maintaining it? And then we have there's some other information in here about the general type, circuit status, whether it's operational or if it's out of operation, and then some other things in here. And if we get down to the end, there's that other ID I was looking for. It has the OmniSci geo, and you can see these are all line strings for these transmission lines. So if everything looks good, all of your headers, the data types, whatnot, then you're good to go. You can import the data, and then you can see that this is just about 7,000 records. So we loaded those pretty quickly. So now you could see, if we're in the data manager in our base database here that we logged into OmniSci, these are the 4 tables that we have now inside of this database. We got the transmission lines, some of these flights, some New York City trees, and some of the taxi data that we were looking at before. So if we come back to dashboards, let's go ahead and just like do a quick visualization of some of these, some of the data. We can come to line map and we can grab our electrical transmission lines for the state of California. And you saw that as soon as we clicked on that, we actually had the OmniSci Geo, which is that line string that represents that geometry, is automatically populated into that measure. And then I think we have, if I'm not mistaken, let me see. One of these has, here, let me move this mic real quick. I can't see. All right, yeah, so let's go by owner. Like if so we can actually do the color by owner. And then you could actually see who owns each of the different lines. There's probably the cardinality. There's probably more than because I can actually see like there's a few others. You can see all others are here in blue, but the majority of them are PG&E, especially throughout the Central Valley and then up the actual West Coast. But that's a really easy way to immediately map that data. Then we could also add maybe another part of the pop-up that this. So anytime you hover over one of these lines, you could see the owner, and it highlights that section. Well, maybe we want to take a look at something else as well. Let's just add one more. Let's just put status here, and then we can hover over and see that it's operational as well. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's just call that electrical transmission lines, and we can apply that, and you see that pop up here. And go to maybe look at Sacramento, and we can see all of those lines populate throughout the region, which is really cool. And then we can we can make kind of round this out with some other simple charts. So maybe we build in a histogram on the same data set. So if you've built like you've already like added some charts and they're all pointing to the same data set, for instance, you'll see that the next chart that you make is going to default back to that table that you used before. So we got Cal E-Trans is the primary table here. Maybe we want the X to be length. Let's do this was length in miles of the give it this a little bit bigger of a bin size. And that's just going to be the number of bins that it places all of the data across the entire x-axis. And then we'll do, for the height of the actual columns, we'll do the number of records that fall within that length. So you can actually see the majority of them actually fall into this initial range. Maybe we loosen that up a little bit on the bins. Let's go back to 12, see what that looks like. Maybe 7. Maybe this is a... Man, they really are predominantly here at between 0 and 16.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just leave it like that. Let's just do records by length. That's fine. Actually, can we group that? I know that this is a tangent, but can we color these by owner? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. By length and owner.
That's so interesting. I actually haven't heard of like any of these providers besides PG&E.
Yeah, and that's here. Let's go back to the map real quick. Yeah, I neither have I. Here, let me go back to the state of California. So we got PG&E. This is another one. This is SoCal Edison, I believe. Is this one right here?
Yeah,
what is it? Yeah, San Diego's got San Diego Gas and Electric, I think. So yeah,
San Diego's not part of SoCal, apparently.
I do love San Diego, man. It's a good town.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great town. All right, so let me add one more chart, and we can kind of close this up. I think this is pretty fruitful conversation. Let's see what else is in that data itself. I don't even remember what we got. Yeah, I actually just want to see, just like real simple. I want to see what the status is of these. So there's only a few. Oh, there's some proposed in here. There's some nulls. We don't want any of the nulls. So the majority are operational. There's only a couple unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's not as fruitful.
Maybe if we made it into maybe if we put it into like a table. Actually, I'm not so sure. One closed.
Only one closed.
Only one is closed.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's close that out. All right, so nothing earth-shattering on the actual dashboard, but what do you have any questions about that? Like any of the process that we went through?
No, this is all great stuff. Yeah, I feel like this is super informational for people who are interested in getting into OmniSci for the first time and deploying their first dashboard. This is super great.
Sweet. All right. So appreciate everybody joining today. We're going to kind of close things up for today. If you do have any comments or questions about the stream, I know we had a few other people pop in. If you come back and you take a look at the rest, just ask your questions in the comments below, or you can hit us up on LinkedIn or Twitter, Facebook, what have you. We're all over the place. And you could see some of that down here, over here. Where is it? Over this way. You could see the handles for each of those. We appreciate you all, as always, and we will be back next Wednesday. We're actually going to be talking about importing some NOAA data, well over 100 years of NOAA weather data into OmniSci using a few different things, including a Jupyter Lab integration with OmniSci. So as always, thank you all. Peace. We will see you next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific.
Bye. Have a good weekend, everybody.